Hello and welcome to another Let's Play and review, and today I've got a special game that I particularly enjoyed from the bottom of my heart way back in my Dreamcast days. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. This game came out in the year 2000 and was an excellent sequel to the pretty popular and well-received Marvel vs. Capcom. But this was actually the fourth in the franchise, in the Versus franchise, which was a great franchise that Capcom started, which originated with X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and then they had Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and then the third one was Marvel vs. Capcom, and then this, of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. All four games were absolutely incredible and revolutionary, but this one set the standard. In fact, it set the bar pretty high with a large selection of characters that you could select, and just the gameplay, how fast and crazy it was. So if you're new to this channel, please click that like and subscribe button, because that would do me 1,000 favors at once. But what I like to do here is play the games and then review them on the spot and live and get your commentary and feedback right away. So I break it up into 4 categories. First, I rate it the total overall scores from 0 to 20, 20 being highest, 0 being the worst. Each category, which there are 4, gets a maximum of 5 points. First category is a difficulty appropriate. Second, do I find it fun today? Third, are the graphics impressive for the time? And fourth, do they stand up today? So we're gonna just dive into all of those and play. Now, normally if I get game over, I'd stop, but I might actually stick around a little bit longer on this one. So without further ado, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Sega Dreamcast. Here we go. Let's just get this thing ready and rolling for gameplay.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Now this is the Dreamcast menu. This game, when it came out to the arcades, it was actually designed using the Naomi 2 board, which made it easy to port over to the Sega Dreamcast. They almost had to do no programming. They added menus and everything else like that, but everything was pretty compatible with the Dreamcast. I'm gonna choose Wolverine, Venom, and Ryu to mix it up. Turbo. And another thing about this game is the button layout was the first in the fighting series that actually reduced it from 6 buttons to 4 buttons. And it actually fit the Dreamcast pretty well, because the Dreamcast had only 6 buttons, 4 in the face, and then 2 shoulder buttons, and then that's it. So based on those 6 buttons, you know, it would be pretty difficult to port those 6 buttons, although possible. It's just annoying to actually have the strong buttons be the triggers. So it was reduced to 4, and the gameplay was kept live, fast and accurate. So this is also the first time that Capcom did kind of a 2.5D fighter with the backgrounds in fully rendered 3D, while the characters being 2D. And T-Bon is a Capcom character from the Mega Man series. It was actually one of the 3D Mega Man games that she originated from. And here's a fun fact about Wolverine and the Incredible Hulk. Wolverine made his debut versus the Incredible Hulk. So his first comic book, I believe, was when he fought the Incredible Hulk. And now we have a recreation right here. So I'm Wolverine, obviously, because I'm winning. And that's the Incredible Hulk is the computer. I'll try to go as far as I possibly can with this little battle over here. And to Todd and or Nick, if you're watching, welcome. Thank you for constantly keeping up with the videos. I appreciate that. And anyone else who wants to be acknowledged, just leave me a comment and I'll say hi and what's up to you. Now I'm pretty much having an easy time because this is the first set of characters. But when it comes to these games, I'm not very good at combos or anything like that. I just play for fun. But I learned a few things. Now Ryu was a character that fortunately can actually morph into different characters. Like he could be Ken, and he could be like Evil or Kuma or whatever you want to call him when you used him. I forgot actually how to switch him up, but it doesn't matter. And this was also the first in the Versus series to actually be 3-on-3. The previous games were all 2-on-2, so it was pretty cool. What's funny is, as I was testing this live stream earlier, my face kept on freezing, so if you guys see me like freeze up but you can still hear me, I won't disconnect, but it's not like you're gonna miss my face moving much anyway. It'll probably freeze when I'm like staring at the screen like like it was before when I was actually doing a trial of this stream. Now, the great thing about this franchise too is that it doesn't have the restrictions of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you can't have the characters from Marvel that Fox owns against the characters that Marvel Studios currently has under the Disney umbrella, or Sony. You could basically have all the characters here. You've got the X-Men, you've got some of the Avengers, you've got Spider-Man from all three studios: Sony, Fox, and of course Marvel Studios, which is owned by Disney. All of them in one. But this game was released, of course, when Fox already owned the X-Men franchise, and I'm not sure if Sony yet owned the Spider-Man franchise, but nor am I sure if Disney owned Marvel yet, which is just a weird time. But here you have Venom versus Rogue, which at least at present is actually, it's pretty possible, because Marvel's done a good job of trying to pick up and unify their franchises. You've got Sony, who still owns kind of like the Spider-Man universe, collaborating with Marvel Studios. I guess they don't want to give up the license, and they're not going to be sold to Marvel. But at least they're working together to kind of unify those franchises. So a battle between Venom and, I guess, Doctor Doom is still not possible because of Fox. But if you guys didn't already know this, Marvel is attempting to purchase Fox Studios, and they'll be able to unify that franchise. I'm almost certain that unification was planned specifically to get these guys back together. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen, or if that'll even be approved, because everyone says it's gonna happen, but it's still gotta be approved, because you don't want Disney to become a monopoly. That's where they're trying to pretty much hold it up. Now, the Street Fighter characters in this game are actually based off of the drawings or pretty much the animations of the Street Fighter Alpha series. So if you play Street Fighter Alpha, these characters look exactly like they did in Alpha. But then, of course, animate in the Alpha style what's it called? Animated in the Alpha style the other Capcom games as well. And now we've got Wolverine versus Doctor Doom. And this match is going to go my way. Now, the Dreamcast had online functionality at the time that this game came out. Actually, Dreamcast launched with the ability to play games online. So it came with a 56K modem, which in today's standards is archaic, let alone is it even recognized. But 56K modem, believe it or not, was fast enough to actually have pretty stable gameplay. One of the first games to come out online, actually the first game to come out playable online on the Dreamcast, was Choo Choo Rocket, which was a simple puzzle game. But then the question came, would it be possible to run like full 3D games and play them online? And when NFL 2K1 came out, that was really one of the first games that revolutionized the online gaming industry, as well as Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast, and they ran smooth. So one would think, why not have a fighter like Marvel vs. Capcom play online? But unfortunately, they didn't include online functionality in this game, which would have been amazing. The data that has to be sent in order to play pretty much a fighting game really quick, without minimal to no lag, it really doesn't take much. You don't need excessively fast speeds. You just need pretty much clear bandwidth, uninterrupted bandwidth. And as long as you had that, you can play a pretty good game online. But this game didn't have that functionality, but it was still a game that was easy to invite your friends over, because they definitely want to play this game and fight each other next to each other, because there's no better experience than destroying your friends in this game and seeing their mad faces, throw your controller at the TV, and then eventually breaking the Dreamcast because they can't stand that you're actually better than them. And I'm not dictating actual events, I promise, I swear. But I did have a couple of angry friends that whenever they lost, they either came up with an excuse as to why they lost, like they'd say, oh, the controller wasn't responding to my moves, or this game is glitchy, that's how come I lost. But they could never admit that you were actually better than them. And that happened all the time, but it was fine. And to be honest, I'm barely paying attention to this game, as I'm talking to you guys mostly, but as I look at it, I'm just I don't think I'm doing too bad. I didn't change any of the difficulty settings, so I'm sure it'll pick up and get harder, but based off of the default settings, I am not having a difficult time at all. Nice try. Done. I probably didn't have to do a super to hurt. Now I've got no super combos left, and Psylocke is gonna put a punishment on me. Psylocke was always one of my favorite X-Men characters when I was growing up as a kid. Even though she wasn't really in the cartoon, and I didn't have a chance to read comics too much and get to know her story, she was still one of my favorite characters. Ooh. She almost got me. But, too easy, too breezy. So, this game had, not for spoilers or anything, I mean, it's fun, it's easy to control this game, but one of the things about this game is just that the Capcom list of characters, some of them were well known, but like, for example, Sansa, I don't know who this is at all. So a lot of these Capcom characters were like, what franchise did you pull this out of? Now, it's probably my own fault for not recognizing characters from the Capcom series enough, but I had no idea what this character was about or what the story was. But the fact that they mixed it in with so many Marvel characters as well in this game that I almost knew almost all of them. I mean, what the heck is going on there? But knowing all of them from at least the Marvel side, I tended to pick mostly Marvel characters, and then I stuck to like Street Fighter characters. Except one of my favorite characters to pick, which I didn't pick now, especially when I'm fighting friends or whatnot, was Mega Man. Now Mega Man is a well-known Capcom character, obviously, but the one thing about Mega Man in this game is that he can shoot projectiles without having to worry about pulling off, you know, like a quarter circle on the controller and then doing like a Hadouken type of movement, right? You could just hit the button and keep shooting, and the fact that I would spam the screen with all his shots, and you can actually have more than one projectile, on screen at the same time. Okay, better get out of there. You could have more than one projectile on screen at the same time was pretty incredible because you could just keep spamming fireballs at your opponent and it just won't stop. See, I could only do one here, but with Mega Man, and he was tiny, so it was hard to hit him as well, which was not cool. That's how come whenever I fought with Mega Man, people were like, I don't want to fight you right now. This is not fun. But I found it fun. All right, dude. How do I pretty much forgot how to do a super move. Not a super move, but a team combo. Why did I forget how to do it? I think I know how. No, that's not working. Not cool. There you go. Done. I'm trying to figure out how to do the double moves. I was actually having a drink here, but I'm trying to figure out how to do the this double crossover combination finish, and I totally forgot. In fact, I'm like playing this game and I'm totally forgetting that I'm actually streaming because I'm actually pretty into this game. This is pretty fun. What other history do I know about this? So this was the last in the 2.5D franchise of the crossover series before years went by before Capcom updated their Versus series or even their Street Fighter series. And then Capcom once again started updating their Street Fighter series from 2008. So the last Street Fighter game was in 2000, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And the Versus series actually ended with this game back in 2000. And then you didn't hear from Capcom for fighting games until 2008 in the Street Fighter franchise, when Street Fighter 4 finally came out. From there, you had a couple of iterations of Street Fighter 4, and then for some reason, Capcom released by surprise online, re-released this game for download for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So you can actually play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 once again. So you only suspected that they had plans to do something with the franchise now that Capcom could once again use licensed Marvel characters in video games. And what did they do? They released Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which was another 2.5D fighter. It had less characters, and they rendered the characters rather than doing these cel-shaded animations. And it was pretty well received. But then the new Marvel vs. Capcom Infinity Wars game was not so well received. It had more of a kind of a laid out story. I never purchased it or bought it, so I just had no interest in playing that. I'm still kind of a die-hard Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 fan. So perhaps I'll pick it up if it's on sale one day as I get destroyed by Jill Valentine. But for now, I'm not interested. Come on, Ryu, let's beat up Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine's from the infamous Resident Evil series from Capcom, which is a survival horror franchise. And the Resident Evil franchise is actually one of my favorite franchises. The first Resident Evil I ever played was Resident Evil 2. So I didn't even know a Jill Valentine except the fact that they make a brief mention of her in Resident Evil 2. And then I played Resident Evil 3, and then I went back to the original Resident Evil because I just started to love the franchise so much. It looks like I'm getting destroyed here. I need to actually focus here before I get destroyed. Now this guy who's whooping my butt here, he's actually from the Darkstalkers series, which was a fighting game released by Capcom with this cel-shaded animations. Are you kidding me? gotta be kidding me. Oh, he beat me. Talk about your close matches. But like I said, I'm not giving up. I'm actually gonna keep this going. So let's switch up the characters. I'm gonna actually go with Mega Man in my team, along with Ryu and Venom. So I tend to rely on Venom, but let's actually throw Mega Man in there. And Ryu. And go once again for this match. But now they switch it up with a totally different team. It looks like Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Each character is owned by a different studio. Captain America, Marvel Studios. Wolverine, you've got Fox. And then Spider-Man, you've got Sony. That's pretty funny that the computer randomly picked that. And of course, I am Venom. Now here's what I do with Mega Man. Mega Man's franchise is, of course, see what I mean? I just spam these fireballs, and then of course you could also throw a supercharged fireball by holding the button, and then pretty much unstoppable. But the only thing is Mega Man's specific fireball doesn't actually deplete a character's energy if they block. It just feels like a regular hit, so it doesn't do that except if you charge it. And charging it is pretty good because it's multiple hits, but it's like even the computer, all they could do is just block until they get me to stop spamming. I'm gonna switch it up here. Get Ryu back in the game, or Ryu. How dare I say Ryu? And put all these Hadoukens. Now I gotta remember how to switch to actually like the other versions of Ryu. Which right now I don't remember. But it's basically like you could have Ryu, Ken, or Akuma in one character. But for now, I'm just lucky to be playing as him. To be playing as him. Jeez, don't get frustrated. Damn! Damn! Whenever I'm low in energy, the computer really takes advantage of me. Alright, Spider-Man versus Venom. Gotcha. You're done, Spidey. Sorry. Now you gotta pay attention to this game because the action is crazy fast. Gotcha. Oh man. Come on, Spider-Man. Spider-Man was putting a hurting on me. I'm like focused here. This is what gets crazy about this game. It's just that they come at you from all angles. I couldn't stop that onslaught right there. So, all right, let's keep going. Now, the one thing is, as I'm going and I'm playing this game, there's not much left. But is that a version? That's not. Okay, I thought that was Guile for a second, but it's not Guile. So we've got Marvel, Wolverine, and Ryu versus Mega Man, Venom, and Ryu. Jeez. See, right now the computer is putting a hurting on me. It looks like the difficulty escalated pretty gradually. See, in the beginning, I was having a pretty easy time, but now it's just kind of like, it's punishing me. And the fact that the timer is infinite is something that I actually put in the options, because if not, matches would just end abruptly and all you're trying to do is just rush and finish the match. And I don't like that to happen, the timer to run out, because it's just unfair. You could definitely win a match, but then you have that taken away from you simply because you ran out of time, which is unfair. Gotcha. Oh man. Tell me if you guys like this game or not, or if you played it. And if you haven't, you've got to play this. I mean, I'm spoiler alert for the actual final review. This game is so much fun. I'm playing this. This game came out 18 years ago, which is unbelievable for me to actually think about it. If this game was born, it would already have graduated high school, and it's still a fabulous time to play right now. And I'm just spamming these finishers just to finish off the computer really quick. Alright, Wolverine, it's just me and you. Well, I've actually got the huge advantage. I had Wolverine, he was a good character to use. And as you can see, Wolverine's got some great combos, but something about Mega Man. It's not about combos, it's just incapacitating your opponent and then leaving them at your mercy. See? Even the computer can't move. Oh, unless I stopped spamming for a little bit. And he putting the hurting on me. Got me cornered. Gotta get out of that corner before he whoops me. But that's a big mistake. Ooh. Now this game's got incredible combos as well. Besides the hyper combos, of course. But the regular combos and then the air combos are just unbelievably fun as well. So I tend to enjoy that. What do we got here? And here's another interesting thing about the game, as I'm totally distracted by playing this, and now we're on stage 7. Final stage before the final boss. This soundtrack was polarizing because the soundtrack, normally fighting games had a pretty much upbeat soundtrack, and it was a standard affair. And then this game comes out, and it's like not slower, but like calmer jazz style music, and it was just so strange for a fighting game. Yet at the same time, like, some tracks in my opinion were off, but other tracks just fit. And the opening like character selection screen about, you know, the song says, "I want to take you for a ride," became classic. And the song was the soundtrack to this game was so unique, it became good and pretty much game defining. And that, you know, as a developer, that's almost what you want in a soundtrack, to be so iconic that it lasts longer, almost as long, if not longer than the... Damn. Got my ass kicked. Longer, if not long... Just as long, if not longer, than the legend of the game. So, if most gamers who have played this game, if you just say... Even if you don't mention the game, but you can remember, "I want to take you for a ride," immediately you get those feels like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Which is nice to have that in a franchise. And because I could tell you this much, that the soundtrack to this franchise I could pretty much remember off the top of my head. And I played a ton of the original Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which didn't have anywhere near as many fighters, and it was 2-on-2 versus. But I can't remember a single song from that game. Yet, this game, I can remember almost the entire soundtrack. Which speaks volumes for the actual decision to make this type of soundtrack, which I only imagine must have been controversial at the time, that, you know, when they were in that board meeting and saying, "Hey, Thinking of a soundtrack for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 franchise that's gonna really turn heads. Alright, what do you got? Well, Jazz, what did it take to get this style of music approved by management? I can only imagine. But I don't think it was a bad decision at all. Could there have been another soundtrack that I would have enjoyed? Possibly. Did I enjoy it originally when it came out? I'll be honest, no. I just didn't think that that type of music fit the franchise. But yet, this style of music did a better job in retaining itself in memory, like in my memory, versus any of the other soundtracks of the Versus series. Alright, here we go. Obviously the computer did a good job of holding me down. And now I've got less than half energy on each of my characters. And I've gotta pretty much beat Venom, who was almost at full energy, but now I've put the hurting on him. He blocked my one super. And the colors are almost exactly the same, so there was a moment right there when I'm fighting, I didn't know which was which, but I'll tell you this much, I won, obviously. So now I'm going to go to the final boss of the game, and this is an interesting boss because I've never seen or heard of him in any of the franchises. I haven't looked it up in Wikipedia or anything, so I could probably find out more about him, whether he's a Capcom character or a Marvel character, or if he was just made for this game. But if he was, I think he's a pretty impressive final boss. Now, obviously, he's committing mistakes while fighting me, except for that. But that's because I've fought him before, and I kind of know Venom tends to confuse him when you fight him from different angles. So now it looks like I won, but then the background does a good job of like tearing itself apart and giving me a second perspective. Now I'm just gonna spam fireballs here. Ah. Boom. So that was pretty easy. And I beat him twice, but now in the same instance, now I've got to fight him as a giant beast man. Or whatever he is. Now what? I don't even know if I hit him. Now a clue as to where he is, especially when he disappears, is that he's a giant floating bubble. And it looks like I'm beating him. He's a lot harder than he seems. I made short work of him here, but it's because I picked the right set of characters. But to be honest, it took me a ton of tries to beat him when I originally played it. But I knew what to expect. I knew how to get his weaknesses. Venom is good for that first level of his. Mega Man is good for the second and third level of his. In the second and third level, anyone who could spam fireballs or do like fast projectiles does a really good job of taking him down. So, and that boss in particular just does a lot of supers. But anyway, here's the end credits. that pirate character was created just for this game as well. I did not pick her, but it's kind of her thing was that she was kind of the key of what merged the worlds, and what she threw in the ocean was that ball that created that creature. And then you have Ryu and Cyclops, hey, thanks man, and whatever, joining forces. But anyway, that was Marvel vs. Capcom 2, a great fighter that is legendary, and it's legendary till this day, on the Sega Dreamcast, which is another legendary console that would have come out 20 years ago next year on September 9th, because it was released on September 9th, 1999. So imagine that system will be 20 years old in a single year. Time flies. But alright, let's get to the review. Is the difficulty appropriate? 1 to 5. I say I give it a 5. The difficulty ramped up from simple to challenging without being a headache or too challenging. If you're new to the game, you probably will have trouble in the last few characters, but the first few, when you're fighting the first couple of fights, it goes easy on you. So I give that a 5. Where's my little pen here, which I always go by to review? So the first was a 5. So next, do I find it fun today? I say 5. Yes, I picked it up. I just played it full right now. This is the first time I actually played the full game in a few years, and I had a blast playing it with you guys, so much so that I completely forgot I was even streaming because I was so into the game. So graphics impressive for the time, another 5. It pretty much was. Not only the cell animations were beautiful, but the fact that it squeezed in so many characters, and it gave you like 3D backgrounds, and it came out for the Dreamcast, and all those like latest and greatest graphics technology was given to you at the time. It was great. Do the graphics hold up today? I will say a 4. For the most part, they do. The one flaw is that the resolution of the cell animated characters, you can tell have aged, but the backgrounds in 3D, the 3D looks amazing, and the fact that I could play this game and it hasn't aged as bad as many other 3D games because of those cell animated characters. It's just a little bit low on the res side, but it's pretty good. So all in all, 4. So far, I think this is one of my highest rated games at 19 points. So what 19 out of 20 gives it its play it if you like video games. This game is excellent. The Dreamcast version in particular included all the characters, but you had to unlock the characters. Just as a little tidbit, I'll go into the game right now. You saw at the end of the game I had unlock certain points. So when I go into Secret Factor, I got a shop, and when I shop, I got a total of 3268 points. I could actually shop for characters. So I'm going to unlock Captain Commando, and now I've got 3068, and I'm going to unlock Colossus. And you know what? I can't unlock Jin, so that's it. So right there in itself, you had to unlock the characters. You couldn't just get them all. But from that sense, if you want to just start off with everything, you can do that off of I believe this game came out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I'm not sure if it's available for PS4 or Xbox One. But when it came out for the 360 and the PS3, they gave you all the characters right from the get-go, and you can just start playing and have fun. So that's my review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you're watching this after the live stream. I'm pretty much done. And as always, hit that like button, and you could make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. Live stream's done. Next live stream later this week, and I apologize if I haven't been uploading as much or streaming as much, but that's because I've been crazed with the amount of work at this time when it comes to video work and other stuff. So, but I will keep these live streams going. See you in a couple days, and I might just hit up another Dreamcast game. We'll see you next time.